Hey folks, I got a treat for you today. It's been a while since I've done any red blanket gun videos because I just haven't got any different stuff really. But here we have something really cool and fairly historic actually. I just got this gun the other day. This is actually my grandfather's. He passed away in 1986, but I got this gun that he purchased used in 1963. My dad just gave me this the other day, actually. So this is a Colt Frontier Scout. Forgot the name for a second. This is a really cool gun. This was made in the second half of 1958. That's an early model. Really cool alloy frame. Obviously steel cylinder, steel barrel. So this gun has a couple issues that I'm going to try to take care of. But so what this is actually a 7/8 copy of a Colt single action Army. I believe it's all the same as a single action Army, just like I said, 7/8 scale. It's all leaf spring controlled. Comes apart similar to a Ruger Blackhawk, pretty much the same. There's some differences internally, like there's almost like a music box leaf spring right here. It's like a plate with fingers on it. There's other videos online of somebody taking one of these apart totally. And I have to do that because at some point in its early career, this gun my father and my aunt were shooting at, I think. And my aunt accidentally pulled it until it went off on half cock. So it made a burr in the half cock location in there. I don't know if it's quite as prevalent without the cylinder in it. Right here, it's pretty rough. The rest is fairly okay. But I need to take it apart and see if I can clean those up or get replacement parts and fix it. It still works, it's totally functional, but I just don't care for the the feeling of it. It should be a lot finer, even though it still works. Front sight's a little canted. I don't know if somebody dropped it at some point. I've used this. It's just you can fan it like the cowboy style. You can do all this stuff. See the offset trigger in there? That's a old Colt style. I don't know if the early Ruger Blackhawks had offset trigger, but so yeah, this is a really cool gun. Light, handy little revolver. It's fairly accurate too, from what I remember. I haven't shot it in probably 25, 30 years. It's got some other problems though too, such as this guy. I don't know if you see this? Somehow this is bent. If you know what this is, it's a cylinder. I call it a cylinder axis pin. I'm not sure if that's the actual term for it, but you can see that as I get in range, as I see that at the end of it is bent up somehow. I don't know how you would do that. I don't know if it was like this prior to my dad acquiring it or whatever, but anyway, when you get this, I think it looks like you had to use pliers to get it out of the frame. There's a couple linear marks on it, but this guy, I got the locking screw just stuck in there so I don't lose it. This end of it in the frame up here was super tight. Once it went past, this slides right out, but to get this out, I had to lube it and keep drifting this guy back and forth little bit by little bit, little by little bit, until it loosened up. And if this happens to you, if you have one of these guns, that's the hole in the back. You can keep this open and you can get a skinny punch there and tap on it, try to drift it down through. The problem is that it interferes with the hammer and it'll interfere here, so you got to be careful not to damage the frame. But yeah, I'm gonna try to caveman straighten this guy, and if I can't, I'm just gonna buy a new one. There's still parts available for these. They've made a lot of them. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this out in the shop and I'm gonna put it on a wooden block and find a high spot and put another wooden block on it and whack it with a big hammer and see if I could just tweak that straight, and if I break it, I'll just buy a new one for $8.50 or $12.50. I don't know, whatever they are. They're pretty cheap. But I'm assuming I might be able to bend that back. It's only out like a degree or two. Who knows? But why not try shit, right? But yeah, this is a really cool gun, man. It seems smaller than actually just 7/8 of a single action army. I thought single action armies were bigger. I know they're kind of a small gun for the size caliber they shoot, but maybe it's because of the weight. This seems so light, but fun gun. Cool being historic and such, and that it's a real Colt. Gives you a little 1X. It's definitely been worked on before. I don't know who had it and fiddled with it, but some of the screws are kind of beat up. I might replace those too. I don't know. I know my dad didn't take it apart. My dad being a mechanic, and like for like, you know, a mechanic for 55 some years. He doesn't take guns apart though. He's like afraid to. He doesn't want to mess them up or get them lost. Guns and carburetors he refuses to really take apart. But I'm like all into it. I'll do that, no problem. It's definitely got some holster wear, so it was used quite a lot in its day. But it's not terribly worn. I got a story about this part too. Yeah, there's a little, you know, some wear on it for sure, but it still operates well. Those are really just off to finish it off. That one's a little waddled out. It's not terrible, and if you think about it, the tolerance for a 22 is not quite so critical because they're so low power. You might get a little extra spalling if you get this, you know, too much of this. Or it actually, the end play I noticed was actually really tight, so that's good. But it's just a 22, you know, so you're not having to worry about super high pressures, and then the gun is mega overbuilt for the pressure of a 22 long rifle. But this was always super fun to shoot. I find it a very cool training gun for like new shooters because it's actually fairly technical. You know, you got like the carry safety half cock for, you know, opening the gate and moving this, and then ready to fire cock. It makes the shooter be cognizant of the different processes that you have to go through to operate a firearm, and that every firearm's different. So these are very like manual, user intensive. But it trains you to be proficient with your operations. If you know what I'm saying, it's a lot more complicated than just let's say a Glock or a modern polymer pistol where you just stick the mag in, cock it, bang, bang, bang. You have to manipulate the object a lot more. It makes you proficient with the piece. No. Yeah, the firing pin seems like it's in nice shape, actually. I don't know if this gun if it has more clearance to where the firing pin doesn't hit the cylinder when it goes off. Because a lot of rim fires, you have to be careful not to dry fire them, or the firing pin can go forward and hit the breech face or the cylinder, and it will batter the firing pin. This, I don't see any indication that the firing pin has ever hit this or left a little tiny divot anywhere around any of these rims or anything. So it could quite possibly not have enough forward travel to hit the face unless there's a round in there, you know what I mean, to get pinched on the rim. Yeah, there's definitely some wear on the ratchet. But hey, this gun works. Anyway, let's get to this part. So I remember the day that this was discovered. This was at my father's house. He had the gun cabinet, and he had a cloth where just, you know, similar to this red cloth with these guns on inside the gun cabinet. And we had gone somewhere, and it had rained, and he had left the window open, and the rain battered onto the gun cabinet somehow and got in and soaked the cloth, and these guns sat for a couple days or something on the cloth, and it this is where it was sitting on the side of the cylinder, and it caused some pitting. I don't know how long it sat there, but I remember how angry my father was when he noticed this, because this gun, and he had one of these Colt, was it a New Frontier maybe, or the version that has the ramp in the back with the adjustable sight and the ramp in the front is longer barrel, and you could exchange the cylinders to a 22 Magnum. He had one of those, and that also got damaged on the side, and he was angry, he was pissed, so he ended up trading that gun, the Frontier, whatever it was, I can't remember, New Frontier or whatever. He traded that for a Ruger Mark IV or Mark II or whatever that version is, which is a killer 22 pistol. But anyway, I thought you guys would appreciate this, my gun viewers, and maybe some of my car viewers who like guns. 1958 22 revolver Scout. It's a cool gun. All this gun is completely factory original too. There's no, as far as I know, replacement parts or anything in it. So I'm pretty careful with it. Like this guy's kind of grip screw. There's a little bit of rust and stuff on the head, right on that, the right side there. I oiled it and stuff. It's a pretty fine, everything's dainty in this gun, so you gotta be careful. But yeah, unlike the Ruger Blackhawks, the whole original single action Army types are all leaf spring, and that's one of the reasons the springs will get weak and they'll go out of time and stuff like that. But really cool gun. I like it. Very fun to shoot. This gun retailed for $49.50 in 1957. $49.50. One of the really neat little sidearm to carry around. And today, I don't even know what these retail, or not retail, but go on the used market for. Probably at least $500-600, depending on the finish, I would bet. I mean, they're definitely not made anymore. There's probably quite a few around here, or still around. I mean, I don't know if they're really collector's items or not, but it's a cool gun. Figured you guys like it. I might do another video if I can get this guy straightened out. You can see how it worked. If I bugger it up worse or not. Shouldn't. I don't think I'll damage it. It's hard to see. I was rolling it on this coaster the other day, and you could definitely tell it was woo, woo, woo. It'd go up and down. Obviously, this is a weak spot where they machine that groove into it. But, yeah. Anyway. Take it easy. Later. Take care of your guns. Clean them. Oil them. Later.